Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening and what we can expect moving forward. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open. So definitely check that out. For just $3 a month, you can access all my posts, updates, thoughts, technical analysis, mainly on Tesla stocks, sometimes other stocks as well. If you just press the join now button here, you can see just $3 a month, access to the Tesla tier, options flow, technical analysis, again, as the market is trading. Second tier is $5 a month, which includes NVDA as well, if you're interested. And then the new tier I just opened up, it says $8.99 Canadian, but it's $6.99 American. If you're interested, where I also include other stocks, non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA stocks, giving you updates and things that I'm seeing in the market that's, it could be a good opportunity, plus getting or doing chart requests from members. But jumping into a Tesla, closing the day down 1.75%, closing at $275 per share, and down a little bit more post-market. So let's talk about this. What does this mean moving forward? Well, we had a nice gap down today. We covered a fair amount of it, right? I made some small, trades, if you will, off of that. And I closed most of them because, well, tomorrow's FOMC, right? Tomorrow's FOMC, and I still lean bearish. So let's go over all that, right? Why do I still lean bearish? Why do I still think Tesla can go down? Well, there's a few reasons, right? Number one, we're still technically in this descending channel. We still had that false breakout, et cetera, right? That's everything I've already covered. But there's a few more things, right? There's a few more things over here. For instance, and this is from the more bullish perspective, though it's short-term bearish, is the Fibonacci's. Take the Fibonacci's from this all the way down here, swing low at 222 roughly. Bring it all the way up to where we pretty much topped at, pretty much equal highs actually, arguably, maybe even a top, honestly. But nonetheless, right? And then you look at the Fibonacci's and you can see just the first retracement, the 382 retracement is sitting at $267, guys. That's just the first retracement, right? So this is why I personally, again, I could be wrong. Who knows? Anything can happen, especially with FOMC tomorrow. Maybe the market just pumps. I don't know for sure. Nobody knows for sure. But just, with the information I have provided and the kind of statistical guess, if you will, that I can make, I'd be surprised not to see 267 personally, roughly, right? At the very least, peaking our head into the high 260s at the bare minimum, which is where the 382 sits. Below that, we of course have closer to 260 itself, sitting at around the 0.5 Fibonacci. And if things hit the fan, we have 250 at 618 and all the way down to back to 230 at this 782. I don't think we'll go that low. I honestly don't even think we'll go to 618. We could, but I don't think we will. I personally, right now, my main target is in between the 382 and the 0.5. This is my main target by, I don't know, maybe Friday, right? That's where I'm kind of expecting the stock to pretty much make its way down to, because that also lines up with this kind of, bullish kind of flag that it's roughly in. You can see here with this little false breakout, but nonetheless, right, kind of setting something along the lines of that, which also looks pretty clean on the daily chart, right? Same idea, right? Nice little massive move up. And so both like being formed on declining volume, which I like to see. And, this is shaping up to be pretty standard looking, pretty textbook looking both like, to be completely honest with you, as we get closer and closer to that robo-taxi launch in June. So, things are lining up pretty well, I must say, maybe a little too well, honestly. But, again, until proven otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and, assume that it's going to play out based on the way I'm expecting it to, based on the information the chart is presenting me, right? Both like right into this market bias that is pretty damn close now, right? We're not too far away from it. That's also sitting in the mid to lower end of the 260s roughly. So again, moving down into it pretty much by the end of the week. And then next week we can potentially blast off. Wouldn't fully shock me, personally speaking. Weekly still looking pretty all right. Nothing really concerning there, at least as of right now, in my opinion. MACD is looking pretty decent, right? So all these factors, again, overall I lean bullish, but it's a short term that I lean slightly bearish because, we have those Fibonacci's we haven't truly tested just yet. And the short term, again, the structure on the short term still is a little bit, I don't know, concerning, I guess you can say, ish, where, pretty much this high that we set right here that broke past this high was initiated after we broke, where was it? I think it was this low here, right? So essentially the structure is this, right? Ever since this happened, we set this high over here. We had the massive move down, we headed up, and then we broke this low over here, right? So essentially the way I look at it now is because this low right here was broken today, this recent bear swing high, to me right now becomes something to watch for, right? This essentially becomes a level that the bears really want to defend, and it's kind of like the bear strong high, if you will, but that's the high that the bulls want to defend, right? So in other words, the way I look at it, shorter term is also, while Tesla, as of right now, is pretty much below the sort of 284-ish region, or level, I should say, I do lean bearish. I do lean that the bears have control. Again, this is short term, right? maybe just for the rest of this week, maybe slightly into early next week, but something like that, right? Something like that. I still think around the middle of the month, Tesla should, in my opinion, at least be in the 300s, or maybe middle to maybe slightly past the middle of the month, in my opinion, of course. But again, the short term, as long as we're especially below this kind of recent bear swing high, I do expect the overall kind of structure to continue more or less as is, right? Lower lows, lower highs until proven otherwise. So if the bulls can take out this high over here, then okay, any pullback from here. So it can look something like this, for instance. Say we do this, blah, 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 and then maybe head up, break that high, come back, resist at the trend line, come back down. And then these pullbacks I will view now as opportunities from the bullish perspective, as long as this low holds, essentially, right? Hopefully something like that, right? Give or take. So just hopefully that makes sense. But that's the way I'll be personally eyeballing it right now, moving forward into, maybe the rest of this week, maybe into early next week. I don't know how long it'll take, but TLDR is below 283 or 4-ish. I expect a move down closer to mid-ish 260s, give or take, right? Maybe the high 260s, maybe the low 260s. I don't know exactly where. Depends on how quick and when it happens, but 260 something is right now what I still expect, which is not too much farther from here, honestly, but nonetheless, it is still down, right? So that's kind of my current perspective on Tesla stock. MACD still crosses the bearish side. RSI is still not into oversold territories. I would definitely prefer to be into oversold territories. So if we got to do this and then make our way down like this most likely will enter the RSI into oversold territories. And as it pretty much got to oversold territories, or pretty damn close to it, especially in this overall massive sideways consolidation, you can see Tesla has bounced pretty nicely ever since it's gotten to anywhere near around those levels. And I still think the overall, the larger time frames, the bulls actually have control here. I do think the bulls, I personally believe the bulls have control based on the setup I'm seeing right now. But again, short term, not just yet, right? Short term, not just yet. The bears still have control short term. Now, if things get really bad in the market, really pukes itself, okay, then, it'll be different. But this is all assuming that the market, even though I think the market can move down, which also means that Tesla will move down alongside it, down to like that 260s, maybe even peeking our head into 250 slightly. The market is also still a little bit overextended, less so now, right? We had a nice little pullback. I've been talking about the market's pretty far away from the market bias, less so now. But if the market kind of, makes its way down slowly, it, most likely will meet the market bias somewhere in the middle, somewhere around maybe the 540s for SPY, for instance, or QQQ, for instance, right? Somewhere in the maybe 470 to 460s even, right? Somewhere around there, right? Which lines up pretty well with Tesla if it were to also have that, another 4, let's say, percent to the downside, which from here, obviously, if we go 4% to the downside, roughly, or more, I should say, not that, I should say, instead, if we go down to my main target of around 260s, yeah, it's about 4%, right? So something like that. But that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, right? Really, just put it simple without making it too complicated. That's pretty much it. In terms of options flow, honestly, options flow has been, for the most part, pretty light. I mean, probably because we have FOMC tomorrow. I'm not surprised that most people are probably waiting for that to finish, if you will. But, some calls towards the end of the day did come in. The one I'm really interested in that's very eyebrow raising, I guess you can say, is this. Someone bought just over $1 million worth of calls on Tesla. 700 strike for June 17th, 2027. So let's see how that goes, I guess. Someone's clearly bullish longer term, which, I am too, but, okay, that's nice to see. But nonetheless, short term, some calls that come in, but also puts come in. Nothing really one way or the other, to be honest. Options flow has been pretty muted, most likely because, again, we have FOMC tomorrow. In terms of confirmed bearish or bullish flow on Tesla stock, nowhere to really be found. Nothing really all that meaningful across the board. So, yeah, that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.